Will asked us if we'd hang around on Wednesday night for these two guys to show up and join us, and we certainly don't pass that up. So Rocky's not been to the new spot. This is his first visit to the new spot. He's been here before. We had the pleasure of hanging out with us for a weekend this past September. We had a lot of fun. Don't challenge either one of them for a drinking contest. You know what's good for you. So thank you both for being here. We really do.
Thank you, Brian. Well, congratulations. It's great to be here. You are so lucky to have one of the nicest lounges in the country. It's absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. I'm shocked. It's great. Great to be in St. Louis. I'm a Midwesterner myself. I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I went to high school there. I went to undergraduate, graduate school in Madison. I ended up moving to law school in LA, practiced law there. And I knew nothing about cigars. I've never smoked a cigar in my life. And I happened to start in the entertainment business. And I've represented some celebrities like Schwarzenegger, Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, Harrison Ford, all these people. And they were smoking cigars on the set. And they were smoking cigars waiting for lighting, sound, and makeup, 3 hours, 4 hours. So I started smoking cigars with them. There was a private cigar lounge open in Beverly Hills called the Grand Command Room. I became a member over there, and I would go there after work, smoke a cigar, and hang out. And after 4 or 5 years, somebody approached me to invest in a cigar startup company called Indian Tobacco, based on Indian Motorcycle Company. And I invested in the company. I kept writing checks and not getting any money back. So I took over the company. At the same time, I got carjacked in LA. And my parents came and said, "You're out of LA, you gotta get out of here." And I hated LA, the people there, different than the Midwestern work ethic and lifestyle. So I got out, moved to Naples, Florida, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna make a go of the cigar business. And everyone said, you'll never make it. This is a business that's handed down from generation to generation. You can't just start in the business. You have to be of Cuban descent. There's no way you'll make it. When somebody tells me you can't do something, you get my antlers up and said, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it. So I went to Honduras, Nicaragua, Dominican, visited all the factories, saw what people are doing right, what people are doing wrong. And I started. And in 1999, we moved to Naples. We started with 3 employees. And we worked hard. I was sleeping in my car. I was sleeping in retail shops, building the brand. And I knew I had a good palate. But we were having other people making cigars for us. And when other people make cigars for us, I'd make up a great blend, taste great. When I got the cigars, I wanted to cry. Because cigars were inconsistent. The wrapper would change. The binder would change. They wouldn't spend time on the quality, construction. So I soon realized we had to get vertically integrated. So in 2003, we started with our own factories, our own farms, got vertically integrated, and that's when the brand took off. And I'm proud to say that from 3 employees, we built it up to 3,500 employees. But the manufacturing of cigars is a labor of love. It's something that we're very passionate about. There's a lot of work that goes into it. By the time you plant a seedling in the ground, the time you get a cigar in a box, takes 4 to 5 years. 300 different hands to touch the tobacco. It all starts in the nursery. In the nursery, you plant these little seeds. They look like grains of salt. And they go in these pods, hundreds of thousands of pods. And you get these seedlings that are this big. And they go there with little tweezers, and they pick out all the weakest ones, and they keep one seedling. That seedling gets transplanted into the farm. In the farm, you have 2 different types of tobacco. You have sun-grown tobacco, and you have shade-grown tobacco. The sun-grown tobacco gets 5 feet tall. The shade-grown tobacco gets 9.5 feet tall. Most of the sun-grown tobacco is used for filler that goes in the guts of the cigar. The shade-grown tobacco goes for wrapper. When you take that plant, you break it down into 3 sections. The top third of the tobacco plant is the richest tobacco, the fullest bodied tobacco, and it's called ligero. The middle third of the tobacco plant is medium bodied in texture, medium bodied in flavor, and it's called viso. The bottom third of the tobacco plant is the thinnest tobacco, the mildest tobacco, and it's called seco. When most factories make a blend, they take a little bit of ligero, viso, seco to make a blend. The problem with that is the following. I want to make a particular particular cigar, and I want a medium to full bodied cigar, and I take leaves from the very, very top of the tobacco plant. If one roller gets leaves from the very, very top of the tobacco plant classified as ligero, another roller gets leaves just a little lower, also classified as ligero, you get inconsistency in the strength and flavor for the cigar for the same blend, for the same box. So what we do is we take that tobacco plant and we break it down in more defined characteristics that we call primings. So when we take that tobacco plant, we start picking it. It's the first priming, second priming, third priming, fourth priming, fifth, all the way to the eighth priming. So when I'm making a blend, I'll say I want the eighth priming from particular farm in Nicaragua. I want the sixth priming from particular farm in Jamastran, Honduras. I want the fourth priming from particular farm in Dominican. Every single cigar has the exact same leaf from the same plant, with the same fermentation, same fertilization to guarantee consistency from cigar to cigar, brand to brand. You know, it's interesting in the wine industry, you can have the same grape varietal from the same vineyard every year, but the vintages are different. One vintage is better, the other vintage is different. Why? Mother Nature. You get too much rain, the grapes don't have that much character and flavor. You get a lot of sunlight. The same principle applies to tobacco. So when we're making cigars, one year if we get too much rain, and I'm using the sixth priming, well, that priming is not as strong and doesn't have the same characteristics as if you had too much sunlight. So like a chemist, we're always working because you have an intended taste. If you smoke the Rocky Patel vintage or the Decade or the Gold Label or Emerald, you know what that tastes like. Well, it changes with the tobacco crop every year, and you expect the same taste. So we're always playing around. So one year, if we're using the sixth priming, well, I might go to seventh priming. Another year, I might go from the seventh to fourth priming, depending on the flavor of what the agriculture and the sunlight and the rain is producing that year for the climate, and it changes. Once that tobacco is harvested, then it goes in the curing barn, which basically is green tobacco holding a lot of humidity. You have these curing bars that are 150 yards long, about 40 yards wide. They actually take the stems, they run a sewing noodle to it, they hang on bamboo, fill up the entire barn. It takes 90 days. In the old days, they'd have gas-fired heaters across the barn. They'd open up the barn doors at night, and that's how you cure the tobacco. Now, through modern technology, we have these Calfrista, which is air conditioning ducts that run through the top and bottom of the barn, digitally control the temperature and humidity. In 90 days, the tobacco goes from a green color to a yellow mutated color to a nice golden brown color. Then that tobacco goes through fermentation. What is fermentation? Fermentation is the natural biological decomposition of the tobacco. All that rich fertilizer is absorbed in the farm, the nitrogen, the boron, the potassium, the magnesium. You have to take that tobacco and you have to bleed that fertilizer out of the tobacco. So they take that tobacco, they add nothing but clean water to it. They put it in a pile that is 10 foot long, 5 foot wide, 2,500 pounds of pressure from the natural weight of the tobacco. Every 10 days, they rotate the pile, top to bottom, bottom to top, inside out, outside in. For the heaviest tobacco, for the 7th, 6th, 8th primings, it takes 4 years. You can imagine the amount of labor that goes into it. For the middle primings, it's take 2.5 years. And the bottom primings, 2 years. 4, 3, 2 years to turn the tobacco, bottom, top, outside in, inside out. Labor, love, intensive care, a lot of work till the tobacco is right. In Cuba, you smoke cigars. When you smoke them, you get 3/4 of the way, you get ammonia, you get bitterness because they don't ferment the tobacco. When you don't ferment the tobacco, the cigar is sour, it gets bitter. Well, with all our cigars, you'll notice you can smoke them to the very bottom. They never get bitter, they never get sour. You don't get the ammonia taste because they're fermenting the tobacco. It takes a lot of time. Then we take that tobacco and we put it away for a minimum of 4 years. In the case of our vintage cigars, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years. Then that tobacco goes into a rolling parlor. In the rolling parlor, there's 2 torcedores that work on making a cigar. One person is responsible. Can I use this? Yep. One person is responsible bunching the cigar, the other person puts the wrapper on the cigar. We limit our rollers for making 250 cigars a pair a day. A lot of factories make 500 cigars per pair a day. If this is a leaf of tobacco, you literally take that tobacco leaf and you fold it like this in an accordion fashion, one on top of the other. It creates air passages for the cigar to breathe properly. You get a good draw. The cigar is going to burn evenly. When you go too fast, they actually take that tobacco and go like this. It's called booking the tobacco. The cigar's plugged. The cigar's tight. The cigar runs sideways. It doesn't breathe properly. Very important how you bunch a cigar. Once the cigar is bunched, but before the wrapper is put on it, 100% of the cigars we make go through a draw test machine. What is a draw test machine? It's basically a machine with a vacuum that pulls on it and it measures the amount of air flowing through it. If it's too loose or too tight, we don't allow the wrapper to be put on it. Being a natural product, the people are working on it. You don't know if the roller got drunk the night before. You don't know if he got in a fight with his wife the night before. So you have to be very meticulous. And I always tell people don't remember the 100 good cigars they smoked, they remember the one bad one. So you have to be meticulous about how you actually draw test a cigar and you check the construction of the cigar. Once they put the wrapper on the cigar, then they weigh all 100 cigars to make sure, 50 cigars to make sure they fall within 2 to 3 grams of each other. Then the cigars are looked at and they check the head of the cigar to make sure the heaviest tobacco is in the middle, they make sure the cap is centered, and it goes in the quality control room. In the quality control room, they actually feel every cigar. There's no soft spots, there's no knots on it. Then they actually check the ring gauge of the cigar, make sure the ring gauge is perfect. Then it goes in the aging room. In the aging room, the cigar's wet because to manipulate and play with tobacco and to actually roll the wrapper, you have to have humidity. The cigar is supple, otherwise it would break. So it's retaining a lot of water. We make sure the cigars sit at least for 4 months. So the lighter the wrapper, it sits for 4 months. The heavier the wrapper, it sits for maybe 6 months. Control the temperature, the humidity. In the case of certain lines that we produce, like the Rocky Patel Age Limited Rare, the Rocky Patel 60, we actually aged them for 2 years. We didn't smoke them after 6 months, 14 months, 18 months. We let them sit for 2 years. And that's why it's turned out to be like very special and very cool. Once they come out of the humidor, being a natural product, there's many gradations of color on the wrapper. A cigar that is perfect in construction, perfect to smoke, that has gone through all the quality control standards, that's lighter or darker than the standard I've set, is rejected as a factory select. A cigar that's perfect in construction, perfect to smoke, that has some spots on it or veins on it, is rejected as a factory select. Second, that's how meticulous we are about how we make a great quality cigar. I'd love to invite you down to the factory. It's an amazing journey. You'll see the farms, the curing, the seed beds, the construction, the box factory, the curing, the fermentation. By the time you plant a seedling in the ground, like I said, the time you get a cigar in a box, it takes 4 to 5 years, 300 different hands touch it. It's a labor of love. So much work goes into it. We have cigars that are mild, mild to medium, medium full. We have a lot of different brands with a lot of character. We try to go out and obtain tobacco from different parts of the world. I make 120 blends, 130 blends, and we choose one. And then the blend changes when you smoke it. Then after 4 months, it changes again. After 6 months, it changes again. And you play around with changing the binder, maybe a little bit of the filler, maybe a little bit of the wrapper. It's a real science, work, labor of love, and the journey at the factory is amazing. You get to see the farms, the curing, the fermentation, the box factory. We have beautiful villas with a swimming pool, with chefs. You can smoke as many cigars, but the best part is we lay out all the different tobaccos and you can make your own blend. And all you do is you pay for your airfare, we take care of everything else. So There's a lot of work that goes in making great quality cigar, and I promise you, nobody works harder to make a great quality cigar at a fair price. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for coming and joining us.
Thank you.
What's the difference between our Nicaraguan and Honduran cigars as far as bunching and all that?
Well, I mean, we have two different factories. So we have a factory in Honduras, we have a factory in Nicaragua. And we also have our own farms. We have our own farms in Nicaragua, we have farm in Condega, now we have farm in Amistran. Two different factories. So as I was talking about bunching cigars, you know, in Nicaragua, like I mentioned, we do in Honduras, the accordion fashion. In Nicaragua, they kind of do more what's called a tubular fashion, right? Like you have a recipe. So, I don't want this one, no. So, one's in the accordion fashion, the other one's more like a tubular fashion. Not that one's better than the other, just two different ways to make cigars. So, they're two different factories that have two different ways of making cigars. But I think that it's like two restaurants. When you have diversity, you can have different flavors, different profiles, different ways to. And I'm all about delivering cigars that have character, that have flavor, that have balance. And we're always trying to rock it. They're always like, you have so many blends there. Well, I love blending. That's my passion. I used to be a cook. So anytime we come up with good stuff, I want to share it. I don't want to keep it. I want to share it. And so I'm all about, my favorite part about this business is blending and creating stuff. So when I create stuff, and it's got to be unique, and it's got to be different, and it's got to be flavorful, it's got to be balanced. But you got to have meticulous construction and consistency in the way you make it. So I'm proud of what we do, and I think we can try to keep our cigars. I think we have some amazing packaging because we're so proud of the work that goes into making that cigars, that we want to portray it in a luxury lifestyle because we're so proud of how much work that goes into it. So again, thanks for being here. Let's have a good time. I'm here to hang out for a while, and I'm happy to answer questions and hang out with you all. So, cheers.
Thank you.
Yes,